What's up, guys? How you doing? I'm Paul.
I'm Morgan.
In today's video, an unusual title because it's stinking Rend Collective, who I have looked at for years. Not that I pay close attention. I know several of their songs. I've worshipped several of their songs. I looked at them as a solid theological, biblical worship group, music collective, Christian music collective, and they are in the spotlight for a post. Now it's actually two posts that the lead singer has made. Well, I will just call them trans post. We'll obviously get into it. I was trying to think of the wording for it. Trans post that he made on his Instagram that has generated lots of reaction from Christians, lots of backlash. Morgan, how are you feeling about this topic?
I feel fine.
You're not nervous at all?
No. I want to go about this in a gentle way.
Of course.
Because
Gentle giants.
You guys know that I can get pretty fiery. Well, maybe I'm tired today because the Lord was like, you need to be a little sleepy for this video so that you are more chill.
You could, because if you're coming in
all
super hyped up,
energetic.
It could get really spicy. It still may get spicy, but I like what you're saying. Honestly, that could be the Lord. Yeah, just
could be.
Because we know what a big topic gender is, and we both want to approach this with love and grace while still speaking biblical truth,
Yep. But before we get into that, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Help us pay for our child's college fund. I'm just kidding. I saw someone else have that as their background screen. I think Matt and Abby were subscribe to help us pay for our child college fund.
And that is a good thing, but what if Luca doesn't want to go to college?
That's true. We're not going to make him go to college if he doesn't want to, but he will have to work.
It's 2022, people.
Anywho, subscribe to this channel. We make videos on culture, social issues, and the church from a Christian perspective to help you have hope.
And be free. And we were just talking about potentially doing a Patreon-only slumber party. I was thinking it was going to be virtual because...
And I'm saying no, in the flesh. It will be in the flesh.
I still think it might be virtual because we could have everyone virtual.
Well, we can have the people who can't make it in the flesh virtual.
This could get crazy, but whether or not we are brainstorming this, it could be a lot of fun. Make sure you're a Patreon. Patreon.com/Paulandmorganshow. We link it below every video. All right, Morgan. Well, we were praying before hopping on here because, as Morgan said, man, we know that this being trans, LGBTQ, all of this stuff, it is so wrapped up in so many people's identities. It's not something we want to take lightly. We're going to jump right in to a tweet from a few days ago, I believe. It was very recently. The lead singer of Rend Collective. Rend Collective, you guys, I would guess, just in the live chat right now, because I don't think I'm crazy here. Let us know if you have heard of Rend Collective, because it's crazy. Morgan had not.
I had not heard of Rend Collective. I don't think I've heard a single one of their songs.
I've probably sang Rend Collective songs more than 50 times.
In our marriage?
Not necessarily in our marriage. Okay, I don't know if that's an accurate statistic, but no, their song, build your kingdom here, make the... that song was huge. That song was huge on Christian radio.
Oh, that's why I never heard it. I don't listen to Christian radio.
People were singing that all over the place in their churches.
I don't listen to radio at all.
And then, my lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you, safe to shore.
Oh, wait, I think I have
safe to shore.
Oh.
But no, the really good songs. Really good songs. And I even,
wow.
When we made our video talking about our concerns with some new contemporary worship music, we asked you guys, what are some solid, safe, biblical groups? And I saw at least a couple of you say Rend Collective, and I would have agreed.
All right.
Let's see what you guys are saying. I've never heard of Rend Collective, but then someone said, My Lighthouse, The Restart Life, Rend Collective was one of my favorite bands in my teen years. Someone else, they sing Build Your Kingdom Here, and I love that song. Yep, I've heard of them. Heard of them all the time on K-Love. Yes, I mean, you guys, yeah. They a few years ago, this was my absolute favorite band, Bonnie says.
Wow.
Yes, My Lighthouse.
I'm glad y'all know who they are, okay? I'm glad.
Yes, and by the way, guys, I'm just looking over here at the thumbs up. Can we get that thumbs up? Just hop out of the live chat, or if you're watching the playback, if you're enjoying this type of content, help the algorithms by giving it a thumbs up, easy and quick. So yeah, Morgan, they made it was the lead singer, and the photo you just pulled up. Pull that up real quick one more time. It's the guy on the far right. You saw him. I had a bigger picture in our thumbnail. He on as you guys know, it is a very like the topic of transgender, specifically in sports, with Lia Thomas about a week ago, I want to say.
Yeah, it feels like it's been going on for years, but I think it was about a week ago.
About a week ago, Lia Thomas was a male swimmer. She was ranked like 400th in the male swimming, and she.
Let me pull up.
I got a photo of her.
The statistics real quick.
Okay, she decided, hey, I want to transition, and suddenly she's swimming. I think it was at Penn State. She's swimming for the women's, I think, 400-meter title. She wins it. She's pull up a picture of her real quick, Morgan. Just I think it's the third photo. I mean, look at those shoulders. And I'm not trying to like go off script here or whatever, but off. I'm staying focused here, but just look at her. Him. I mean,
William Thomas was ranked 462 in men's swimming. Lia Thomas, same person, was ranked number 1 in women's swimming.
I just said, look at her. That's where the controversy's coming. I said, look at her, but biologically, that's a male that decides I'm going to be a female. I identify as a female, and suddenly she's winning the NCAA championship, beating the women in her thing, and it's created this big hubbub. It's a biological male. I think the statistics say that like 75 or 70-ish% across the board of people are not a fan of trans.
I mean, there's been a ton of uproar, not just in like the conservative, Christian, Republican, whatever realm. Like, even some people on the other side are like, this doesn't seem right.
Yeah, well, 70%. That's not just Christians or Republicans. To my knowledge, it's across the board.
Yeah.
Atheists, Democrats, everybody, 70% are not a fan of trans males competing in female sports. Anyway, so now Morgan, pull up the photo. This is, okay, lead singer of
Chris, is that his name?
Rend Collective. His name is, Chris. Actually, I can't even remember.
What?
Chris
Llewellyn.
Is that how you say it?
Llewellyn or Llewellyn?
Llewellyn, maybe. Yeah. So I actually, at first, I missed this small detail because I was like, oh, he responded to some random guy on Twitter, or I mean, this was specifically on Instagram. Some random guy. The guy actually that he's responding to and really pushing back on is none other than Bethel's Chris Valentin, which is kind of a funny detail. Morgan mentioned to me, I wasn't aware of this, that
come in.
That's our aunt bringing our dog back from the walk. Come in.
I'll be back.
Oh. Many of you guys have heard of Chris Valentin. He's one of the pastors, to my knowledge, of the prophet, I believe is what they call him, over at Bethel, and he apparently is known for being pretty outspoken, and even kind of in a conscious way. Squishy, hey, come here. Squishy's going crazy. Thank you, Bug, for taking her. Pretty, making just pretty bold statements and stands in regards to maybe LGBTQ. And this is, this big time pastor. Chris Valentin posted, let me see if I can read this. He posted a picture of Lia Thomas winning the NCAA championship, and then put a quote by Morgan. Can you make sure Squishy doesn't? Yeah. Calm her down.
Calm it down.
Can you read, Morgan? Are you able to see it well enough?
This man won the women's swimming championship.
So that was what Chris Valentin said, and If you look, he quoted George Orwell, or I guess he shared the picture with a quote of George Orwell that says, "The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command," referring to the book 1984. Really, to me, that's kind of interesting. But then we can see here, Morgan, read what Chris.
However you feel, Chris, not Chris Valentin, the Chris from Rend.
Yes.
However you feel about the implications for sports, a wider conversation for sure, calling a trans woman a man is hateful, unkind. Don't participate in this kind of speech. History won't be kind to you.
Ooh, history won't be kind to you. Morgan, you actually told me about this first. Just when you hear what Chris Llewellyn, how he responded, because I think, again, with 70% across the board of people saying, I don't like this. I don't like this man who suddenly is identifying as a woman and beating the females. I'm not a fan of this. And then he's making this worship leader, or if you just want to call him Christian music leader, makes this statement, and I would consider that a very direct, a very bold statement. What are your just initial thoughts on that?
Guys, ladies, this is such a complicated, in my opinion, it's complicated. I know so many people are like, it's not complicated. Biological male, biological female, the end. And I do agree with that. But I also can see where Chris is coming from in his response. I think he's trying to be social justice warrior type guy in this comment. That's just the way I felt. Like, history won't be kind to you. I'm like, what in the world?
That reminds me of a very...
It's so dramatic.
The very dramatic, social justice-y, progressive, do better...
Yeah.
type of dialogue.
Yeah, so I thought that was goofy. I am fine with the post that Chris Valentin posted. I'm sure most of you all aren't surprised by that.
The Chris Valentin saying this is a man.
Yeah, this man won the women's championship. That's the case. That's what it is. This Lia Thomas went through male puberty up until he was, I don't know when he transitioned. I mean,
you can see the pictures of side by side.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like that long ago.
No, it does not look it's been very long. Like, he recently made this decision to transition to a female. And so I don't know. It's unfair. That's just the reality of this. It's unfair. And it's not okay, in my opinion. And if we continue to accept this in our world as normal, as right, then women, biological women, are going to have no place in this world, which is crazy to me because there are so many intense feminists out there.
There's kind of a picture you can see. I guess that's probably right before.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like that long ago. I mean, he's wearing a pin shirt.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I just feel like we do need to be speaking out against this. Is there a kind way to do it? Is there a grace-filled way to do it? Yes. And I hope that we can all figure out what that way looks like. And Lord, lead us and give us your discernment. But I do think that there's a time and a place for people to stand up and call this out for what it is. It's wrong. And I actually asked my friend who, I'm not going to say her name or anything, but when I met her, she had transitioned to male. And within the past year or two, she's actually detransitioned. She had been transitioned into male for several years, a long time, and then detransition is back to female, what she was born as, and is actually married and pregnant, which is incredible.
Wow, I mean, dude, what a story.
So crazy. And we've been friends. I was friends with her when she was going as a he and is now back to a she. And I actually asked her, what do you think about this situation? And she said, I think it's completely unfair. I think that he is a biological man. He went through puberty. He has received things that these female swimmers will never have, and it's just a total unfair advantage, and it's not right. And she was like, and I will always call him a he because of that, because he went through puberty, which I thought was interesting. So I don't know if she maybe would not call him a he if he hadn't gone through male puberty.
I mean, at least in regards to the swimming competition, to males competing in female sports, becoming trans and stuff.
Yeah.
I think we could probably recognize if they go through getting a sex change pre-puberty, that's going to at least make them more on a biological female level. I mean, you got this person. I don't know if Lia Thomas has had the surgeries. I'm sure she's okay going through the hormone things, but even so, a biological male that's going through hormone treatments is still going to be multiple times, I don't know the specific statistics, but multiple times the level of testosterone and just be a more dominant physical figure.
I mean,
even going through the hormone treatments.
You can look at the photos.
Pull that photo back up.
Lia Thomas standing next to,
just look at that.
The second and third place winners, the biological females.
It looks like Michael Phelps.
And he's like a foot taller than all of them, has so much muscle, and
look at those shoulders. Look at those. I mean, I'm envying those shoulders. I don't actually envy. It's the 10 Commandments. Those shoulders are impressive. But let's get back, Morgan. Pull it up again. The initial response from this Chris Rend collective. So I want to focus on that for a minute. When I first saw this response, it doesn't really surprise me anymore. I think that there is, if you want to call it, a growing, a growing vein of Christians that I believe would be very much okay with his retort, if you will, to Chris Valentin. They would say, 100%. Can you read it one more time?
This man.
No, by the Rend Collective guy.
However you feel about the implication for sports, a wider conversation for sure. Calling a trans woman a man is hateful, unkind. Don't participate in this kind of speech. History won't be kind to you.
And I just want to say, I saw on some article said that that he ended up deleting this post, and then he posted a follow-up, which we'll get to in a minute, his kind of follow-up to this. But it was on his story anyway, so I don't know the details of that. But here's my thoughts on this. All right, if you got this lead singer of a prominent Christian band or worship band, whatever you want to call them, and they come out saying, if they come out with their position, whether it's Lia Thomas or anyone that's gone through and is a transgender, I will call them by their preferred pronouns, by their preferred gender, all of that stuff. If that's what he wants to do and he's decided I'm justified biblically, I feel good about this is the loving thing to do, all right, that you can have that debate, but I'm going to probably hear that side and respect it. To me, what really rubbed me about his post, about Chris's post, and this is again in response to Chris Valentin, he says, calling a trans woman a man is hateful. Again, there's a lot of Christians who feel like their conviction is I just can't do it. I can't call a biological female a male or a biological male a female. It goes against my God-given conviction.
Yeah.
So that's where I stand. I would want this guy from Rend Collective to be able to respect me here. Oh, wait, he's not respecting my conviction, what I believe the Bible has called us to do as Christians, because he's literally saying, he's going on the offensive and saying, calling a woman a man is hateful, hate speech. He says, unkind. Don't participate in this kind of speech. So he's becoming the spiritual authority on this topic. Don't participate in this kind of speech. History won't be kind to you. That last sentiment, I don't know, sentiment, that last line. What?
I know.
History won't be kind to you. What
It's
in the
goofy.
world? Let's go ahead, Morgan, and play his, or let's view his follow-up. Guys in the live chat, I mean, this is a good opportunity. I do, as we're about to read his follow-up statement, Morgan and I are sharing our perspective on this. We are sharing it again, desiring to have an open conversation. We're not claiming to be totally, I mean, yes, we know what the Word of God says, and some of it is pretty black and white, but then there's some gray area, kind of like what we're talking about here. What do we do if we have a friend or someone that's on TV, a famous person that's trans? What do we call them? It's a bigger conversation, so I want to handle it with grace. I would be curious to hear and just see your all's back and forth. Make sure you keep it loving in the live chat, and we'll get to you guys here in a minute. I'm excited to hear what you got to say, but the second photo is a little bit harder to read. I couldn't find a real clear one of that, but are you able to read that, or you want me to, Morgan?
One last thing about this thread before I move on with my life. Hundreds of comments in my DMs saying I've abandoned the created order or God's design. Never said a word about that. All assumption. I said it was hateful to apply a label to this individual that they find offensive. It's the vitriol I reject, not diversity of opinion of a complicated and new subject. God's design for the church is to be a sanctuary and protection for anyone who is being kicked to the curb. I stand by that as the most orthodox, traditional belief there is. The simplest interpretation of love your neighbor and the parable of the Good Samaritan.
Okay.
Interesting.
Morgan, any just right off the bat thoughts on his follow-up post? I do have a little bit of thoughts.
Oh, do you? Well, I don't know. There was a lot there, really. I think to say, okay, to call them a label that this person finds offensive is vitriol, and he's just, like, disgusted by it. It's like, I know so many Christians who are like, I cannot call this man a woman. Like, I cannot do that because that is not what God has intended. And, like, it's not out of a hateful, gross place. And they want to show love and grace to this person who is identified as trans, as identifying as a woman when they're a man. Like, they want to show love, they want to show kindness, but just because they want to show love and kindness doesn't mean that they have to all of a sudden cave into this person's desire to be called a woman when they're a man. There are other ways to show love and kindness, and to make it clear. Tell them why you can't say that. Tell them why you can't do that. And he just gave no room for that and just made it like, if you can't accept what I'm saying right now, you're hateful, you're filled with vitriol, you're disgusting, like, you should be ashamed of yourself, and history isn't going to be kind to you. And it's like, who cares if history is kind to us? I want to know that the Father is proud of me. Like, I don't care about history.
Ooh, that's good. That's good, Morgan.
Thank you. Share us with your thoughts.
Well, one thing that just popped into my mind was just this idea of, okay, I'm just gonna do the loving thing, whatever they want to be called, whatever they, total acceptance, total inclusion. That actually brings us to this place where now you have a male that went female and is breaking the records. One, you think you're doing the loving thing, so to speak, by welcoming everything, but it actually creates victims. There are victims. You hear so many people saying, what is it hurting you? Let them do whatever they want and just blah, blah. It's like, I think about, like, if we were having a daughter going up through the school system, training every day to become the best female athlete, and suddenly
a man comes along.
A man comes along and just dominates her because he decides, I'm a female 6 months before, a year before, I'm a female now, and he just dominates her in, basketball or soccer or swimming. And it's like, oh my God, like, that would crush me as a parent.
Yeah.
And so this idea that I'm just going to go along with it, yep, okay, you're whatever you want. Yep, I support it. And then suddenly it slaps us in the face. Whoa, like this person is competing in female sports, and it's like at that point it's hard to backtrack and say, okay, well, no, actually, like you kind of are stuck in a corner, and that's the place I think we see ourselves in.
Yeah.
So it's, to me, it's more of like a, should we have maybe been less eager to support it wholeheartedly, the people like Chris.
Well, and another thing that comes to mind is, he says, like, the most important thing is love your neighbor and the Good Samaritan, and the church was created for people who were kicked to the curb. And yes, and like, transgender people, by all means, come to church with us and get to know the Father, because he desires you. He desires to walk with you and love you, and to be loved and known by you. But I just think about Jesus, and we were talking about this before we went live, and Jesus never.
This isn't spring water, to my knowledge.
No, it's not. Jesus never accepted a person's sins. He didn't pat the woman who was being brought out to be stoned because she was caught in adultery. He didn't pat her on the back and say, all right, come on to church with me now, lady. He said, go and sin no more.
He might have said, come to church now with me,
and
lady.
now come to church with me, lady. After you stop sinning.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. That's a great analogy.
Not after you stop sinning, but like my point is that he never accepted someone's sin.
Right.
He never said the loving thing to do is to accept a person's sin. I think about the woman at the well.
He never said you're fine as you are.
Right. He's talking to her and she's like, whatever, talking about I'm not married. And he's like, you're right. You have 5 husbands. Like, he calls her out right there. Husbands. Yes. And he calls her out right there, and she is like caught off guard and, whoa, you know this about me. And so, I don't know. I think we need to remember as Christians that, yes, love people, love your neighbor, and do unto others as you would have them do to you. But that's not going to look anything like the world's version of love or acceptance or kindness. Like, God's love is so much different than this love that the world has created. It's so much more different than whatever the world tries to shove down our throats. And Christians are falling into the trap of, with all kinds of things, of like, oh, well, I stand with blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, exactly. It reminds me of more of this vein of, if you want to call it, just progressive-y, social justice Christians that are like, oh, the loving thing to do is, okay, I stand with BLM organization and everything. Yeah, that's the loving thing because I love black people, or I stand in with inclusivity with blah, blah. And it's just like, I think you're thinking with your emotions. You're trying to hold hands with the world, because yeah, that's the loving thing, when that's not always the loving thing. And actually, we're supposed to be set apart from the world. So Morgan, would you say, because I do think there are, I'm going to again refer to this like vein of Christians that would read his post and say, oh yeah, Chris Valentin from Bethel, that to call this woman a man, how hateful of you. What a bad representation of Christians. So that this vein of Christianity or Christians would totally get behind this Rend Collective post.
Yeah.
And I could even start naming names, but you know, everyone's on a spectrum. So just because, yeah, like I would say maybe like a Lecrae type, or a Beth Moore type, just more of the kind of, you guys know who I'm talking about. And maybe they'd surprise me and say, no, I'm taking a stand against this. But that type that has made statements and
yes,
expressed views, maybe even like the Jackie Hill Perry has been making more of those type of, inclusivity, social justice-y stuff. But would you say that vein of Christians and this Rend Collective, again, his songs, to my knowledge, still seem very biblical. Would you say that that's just like strongly reject this? Or would you say, well, actually, this is my perspective, but there's maybe some room to work in here that's still okay?
I feel like there's a group, this vein of Christians, they're confused and they're on the fence. And like they're trying to figure out what, and we're all trying to figure it out. We're all
We
trying
are.
to figure out, what does God's grace look like? What does God's love look like? And to me, this vein of Christians have started looking to the world for what does God's love look like, rather than looking to scripture, rather than going to prayer, rather than talking to other people in the church and mentors and whatnot. They've just started like letting the world slowly infiltrate their view of God's love.
Okay.
And if they're not careful, they're going to wind up way off in the weeds and possibly just away from God's truth. And they've got to be really, really careful. We all have to be careful.
Fair enough. I like that. I think of a couple people, like who was that woman that I was looking on Instagram, and I was like, this woman looks familiar. Oh, she's written books. Just a popular Christian author that more recently has drifted into intense.
Oh, what was her name?
The name is like, if you guys know who it is, it's not like, I mean this woman.
Her daughter came out as LGBTQ.
This woman, she used to be like have popular Christian books. Jen Hatmaker.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was about to ask you guys. I bet you would have figured it out. But I'm looking on her Instagram like, oh my goodness, this woman is completely, I mean, if you want to call it progressive Christianity, but to the point where it's like you're totally making up your own religion. That was what it looked like to me. And then I think of maybe Kevin Max from DC Talk, or the lead singer for, it's funny because it's like all these musicians, like these.
Yeah. You know why? Because musicians are super emotional and they get all up in their feelings and they piece out on like logic and scripture and the word of God.
But the former lead singer of You Make Beautiful Things. Gungur. And they're making statements over here that are like, these people have created their own religion. Yeah. And so then when I see this from Rend Collective, I want to be careful to not like add things. Be like, okay, here's what they said. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fan of this post, but I'm not going to put them in the category of no longer a Bible believing Christian, because there is some gray area. So I want to say, when I read this, disappointed, but I'm not going to bridge the gap and say they're way over here. Maybe they're moving in that direction, and I really want to caution them. And if you happen to watch this, Chris, from Rend Collective, like, hear our hearts. But again, there is some gray area, and I don't want to lump them in and say, yeah, these people, see what they posted, they're not Christians. I don't think that that's the case.
I was just watching you talk, and like, you are so animated.
Especially when I'm really wanting to get something out. Like... What? Oh, is it scaring you? Guys, that is our perspective on this. When we combined a lot here. All right, you know what? I'm going to do this. Hands folded. We combined a lot here. We combined. We talked about the Lia Thomas NCAA situation. We hit on just transgenderism in general by talking about this group. Guys, comment below. Seriously, let us know. Keep the conversation full of grace, seasoned with salt. Let's keep it going. This is Morgan and I's perspective. We would love to hear yours. You guys, be blessed. We'll see you very soon. Have hope.
And be free. If you're in the live chat, we'll be right back.
As you may have noticed, we get very few brand deals, which is why our patrons, the names you see here, are so important.
You guys really are the lifeblood of this ministry. We could not do this without you all. If you believe in this content and you want to partner with us on Patreon, click the link below or just go to patreon.com/Paulandmorganshow.